If I told you that once you join this organization, we're going to have influence over who you marry, if you have children, how you spend your free time, and how you should go about your career choices, would you still join? Believe it or not, some people still do. What do JW women have to look forward to? So let's take the first thing, marriage. Not everybody wants to get married, but quite a few people do, right? They want the companionship, being able to, share their life experience with someone, and things of that nature. So when you are a single woman coming into the Jehovah's Witnesses, whether you're like myself who came in as an adult or you were born in, you're going to have a very small pool to choose from. Okay? There are more women than men in the Jehovah's Witness organization. So, as you will learn, is that at the top of the list, you should have that the person is a servant of Jehovah. At a minimum, they can maybe skirt by, depending on the congregation, if they're willing to study, and prove themselves to be a progressive study. So, what does that mean for a JW woman, right? A single JW woman? That means that there's a very good likelihood that you won't get married. That's just calling a thing, right? Because you can have a gentleman on your job or a gentleman you went to high school with that was, what we would say raised right with morals, a good person, a good citizen, hardworking, attractive. You all have similar interests, outside of the religious piece. But because he's not a JW, because he does not want to become a JW, but is not opposed to you continuing to do that, but wants to be with you and marry you, you basically have to say no. You basically have to say no if you want to stay in the good graces of the congregation. I chose not to do that because I didn't like the pool to choose from. And for me, I was not willing to bypass a man who, let's say, checked 99 out of 100 boxes. And the only one he didn't check was JW. And I just was like, you can take this scripture of being, evenly, yoked or not being unevenly yoked, to spin it to say that means you only can marry a JW. And I just got to the point where I just wasn't willing to accept that. I knew too many people who actually did grow up with different religious beliefs. I have cousins. One is, I believe, Pentecostal, and the other one is Catholic. They've been married. I'm 50, so they probably have been married over 40 years because I was in their wedding and I was probably 7 or 8 years old. Okay. And he goes to mass on Sundays and she go to church, and they've been happily married ever since. So this is something to think about. If you are a single woman thinking about becoming a Jehovah's Witness, you will be frowned upon if you do not marry a fellow Jehovah's Witness. And like I said, at best, someone who's willing to study. And know that the pool of eligible bachelors in your Kingdom Hall, in your circuit, or whatever they're calling it now, will be very limited. Not much to look forward to, right? And I had come across so many older women when I was going to the hall, who, in my opinion, and the opinion of most people, would refer to as bitter. And I always thought, had they went on and, got married, because I'm sure they've come across some decent guys who probably really did want to marry them or, be in a relationship with them towards marriage. But because of that, that one rule, they wouldn't do it. And so now they over here a bitter Betty, just filled with bitterness because they don't have someone to share their life with. So Think about that before you become a Jehovah's Witness. Do you want to, um, what is it, cast out? Are you willing to narrow your pool, by becoming a Jehovah's Witness and knowing that that's one of the expected rules they would expect you to follow? Something to think about. Number two, you could, let's say you one of the fortunate ones. You actually find someone, you're both, serving in a congregation. You actually like each other and not just marrying each other because of the marry only in the truth rule. But let's say you would like to have a child. Your spouse may strongly encourage you, the congregation may strongly encourage you, the elders and all the other people may strongly encourage you not to. You want to know why? Because this side of the system is so bad. And even though things may be a hot mess over here, uh, I think it's still wrong to encourage people not to have children, especially when we've seen what has happened to people who dedicated their lives to Bethel service, coming in maybe in their 20s. They were able, to get married. Maybe they came in married, whatever the case may be. And then, whatever it was, I can't remember what year, but a few years ago, they basically had a huge laying off, right? That's basically what it was. And told these people who have dedicated their lives, didn't have children, serving here at Bethel for 20, 30, whatever, 40 years. Okay, go back to your hometowns and in your congregations and help there. And so now these people are older. They haven't, more than likely worked any kind of jobs and things of that nature. And as they get older, who's going to be there to care for them? And yes, I know sometimes children won't care for their own parents, but the majority will, right? So that's something to think about. That is bad enough, here in America, society, government, people have all these opinions and thoughts and rules that they want to put in place in regards to your ability to have kids, or just over women's reproductive rights and things of that nature. Here's a place where you're supposed to find comfort in your religion, basically going to encourage you to do the same thing. I know of plenty couples who are not quite my age, but probably like mid to late 40s, who did not have kids. And I think about them all the time because it's like, who's going to help care for you? Who's going to help care for you? Should you get sick, as you get older? And I often wonder, do they think like, dang, I could have a 20-year-old right now, or, 25-year-old, and things of that nature. I remember people being talked about who were having kids, who, yeah, kind of like back to back to back, was having kids. Well, you know why? Because they was married, and so they was free to procreate, right? So they were going at it, and as a result, the wife was pregnant again. But those people got talked about behind their back, and they was looked at not being the most spiritual, because why would they have these kids and now they have the burden of having to take care of them and work and things like that and can't be out in service. It's a lot when you think about it, right? So that's something else to consider if you are a single woman. Thinking about becoming a Jehovah's Witness, that if you are able to find someone in an organization to marry, there's a very good likelihood that you will be encouraged not to have children. And if you actually have the desire to have children, ask yourself, is that something worth giving up? Right? Number three, women make up basically the preaching work, right? It's women carrying the heavy load. It's women, trying to bring new people in and things of that nature, right? So the witnesses will take control of your free time, right? Most of us are adults. We work usually a Monday through Friday type job. So Saturday and Sunday is your only day to kind of regroup to get ready for work. But the witnesses will take that time. They take that time by you going out in field service. At this point, I don't know if they're still doing door to door. I don't keep up per se with the organization that heavy. I assume they still are, even though I've heard rumblings that they may not uh, be for long or what have you. But they will take over your free time. So Saturdays when you could just be taking a breather, take an exercise class, go learn how to crochet, go to brunch with some friends or family. You're expected to be out there preaching, knocking on doors, going on Bible studies, doing all the things. And then afterwards, you can go run your errands and do whatever you need to do for yourself and for your household. And you're gonna be expected to be the ones to become pioneers, an auxiliary pioneer, because it's 5 weekends in a month. And it's just gonna be never ending. It's already hard enough being a woman here in America, trying to, manage, especially if you're like a single mom or something like that, trying to manage. But now your own religion is expecting you to carry the heavy load with the preaching work. And if you're not, and once you're done preaching, they want you to come back and clean the hall, right? So, and all this is for free, okay? And then if you don't do these things, then you're considered weak. So again, you'll get talked about and you'll get frowned upon because you're not sacrificing and giving your time to Jehovah in the congregation. So that's something to think about. Do you want to give up your free time? Today is Saturday. It is International Women's Day. And this morning, I was happy to wake up and be a woman and go run my errands and reclaim my Saturdays. Okay. I have not been a part of the organization for a very long time, but I think one of the things that brought me the most joy was reclaiming my Saturdays. I was able to get up. I took my dogs on a walk, very short walk. Um, I was able to, get myself dressed, put on some perfume, and go run my errands with all the other people, and it felt great. And I was able to go do that. And guess what? I was back home by 12. And I was able to go ahead and get my juicing done. And then I was so inspired. I said, let me sit down and do this video. I've been putting this off for too long. Reclaiming my Saturdays has been one of the best feelings since leaving the organization. So that's something to think about. Do you want them dictating how you spend your free time from the things that you have to do? You have to work. You have to earn money to be able to take care of yourself and your household, whoever that is, whether it's just a dog or a cat. You need the money, right? Something to think about. And the last thing I want to discuss when it comes to being a JW woman is the influence the organization will have in regards to your desires or necessity to advance in your career or your job choice, right? So that will require, in many cases, some form of higher education, right? So you may have the desire to, let's say, become a doctor, right? Maybe you were a sickly kid and you always say, I want to be a kid doctor. I want to be a pediatrician. Well, the organization's going to frown on that because it's like, you're going to take all this time to become a pediatrician when you could be putting that time into the ministry, into kingdom interests, right? So because of the pressure of the organization, I am willing to put good money that a lot of women have not pursued their heart's desire in regards to career or job advancement because of what the organization, because of the organization's influence, right? And what they will beat you over the head with. in regards to that. I am a very ambitious person. Never really lost my ambition when I was in the organization. I still was doing the things that I wanted to do. Did I get a lot of pushback? Did I get a lot of, finger wagging at me? I did. I did. And I would vent to one of my friends, and surprisingly, she told me, stop telling them. Simple. Stop telling them. It's none of their business why you missed a meeting or this, and that. And I just was such a transparent person. I'm like, I don't have nothing to hide. Yeah, I'm in nursing school, or yeah, I'm selling jewelry on the side and it's good money. So yeah, I couldn't make it out because I had to go do a jewelry party, because nobody gonna take care of me. I'm a single sister at the time. I was single. And so that's something to think about. If you're ambitious, if there's opportunity and desire to advance your education because of the opening of career choices, it's not going to look upon favorably. I couldn't get that out. Favorably. It's not going to look well. So that's something to consider. So this was just something that's been on my heart for a long time. And I feel like if somebody had made it this clear, this super clear, there's a very good chance I would have probably said, no, well, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to move forward. I like to think that would have been the case because it can already be a struggle to find a decent mate that you're compatible with, outside of love. When things get tough, you need those other things to be able to, get you through and see you through. Uh, Being told, or encouraged to not have children because the system is bad. Well, I was born 50 years ago, and I'm sure they were saying the same thing. The system is bad. Don't have children. You see what I'm saying? Third, if someone had clearly stated, like, your every waking moment needs to be focused on the kingdom. You out running errands, you should be thinking, how can I witness to this person? Somebody on your job lost a loved one, you should be thinking, how can I witness to this person? Um, you see a person walking every day, how can I witness to this person about there'll be a time where we don't have to exercise because we'll be perfect. Like, so it's just like, it's nonstop. They will take over your every waking moment. Okay. And then lastly, especially with me being such an ambitious person, if someone had told me, like, you're coming in as an educated person, and yeah, they have no choice but to accept you because you're willing to join. But if you decide to get any more education after this, yeah, you're going to get labeled. You're going to get labeled. So this was just something on my heart that I definitely wanted to put out here, and hopefully the right people, women, and hey, even some guys who might share with a woman in their life, that you think about it. And this is just the four that pull at my heart the most, that if somebody had really broken it down the way I feel that I'm breaking it down to you, that would have stopped me from getting baptized. So on this International Women's Day, I hope all the women who see this, that you find value in it. Hope you continue to find value in yourself. If you are an exjw woman, navigating life outside of the organization can be challenging, especially if you were in for a long time. Make sure you subscribe. I'm trying to do things to help bring, my tribe of people together. Don't always have to be someone who is from the exjw community, but just women of a certain age looking to, reinvent themselves, just all those things. So that's what my channel is about. So please, continue to engage with the content. Make sure to like this video, leave a comment. Definitely subscribe if you haven't. And even if you think that you have subscribed, just double check, because sometimes YouTube will unsubscribe you because they think you're a bot or something. So make sure that your subscribe button is pushed, and share this with anybody that you think may find some value in it or may need to hear this message um, for whatever reason. So with that, y'all, I'm out to the next video. Peace. And here's a bonus point. Going back to like witness women carrying the heavy load, you do all the work, right? You do all the groundwork, all the grunt work, and yet you won't have any other reward. You can, at best, become a pioneer and you'll get a little bit of recognition, right? But you can never, take the lead. You can never, give a public talk. You can't even read the Bible scriptures, right? But you can do these little kitchen table, unrealistic mock situations that probably 98% of the time will never happen in real life. And so for all your hard work, all your sacrifice, all your cart witnessing, all your letter writing, informal witnessing, can't even go to the grocery store on a Saturday uh, without feeling like, let me leave a track with the cashier so I can keep my time going. And I hear that they don't record time like that anymore for publishers, but pioneers, they still do. What do you get? You can't even get, for lack of a better word, the management positions, right? You can't be a ministerial servant. You can't be an elder. You can't do any of those things. And if you're an ambitious woman like myself, at some point you probably would want to elevate in your experience, right? But you can't do that. And so that's just a little bonus thought that I thought about, because it is the women of the Jehovah's Witness organization that carry the heavy load. They do a lot of the soldier work, so to speak, right? But the men get all the glory. And, women are just kind of looked at as second class helpers. And so that's something to think about. Do you want to be breaking your back, not literally, but figuratively, and you'll never get the recognition, that you rightly deserve. It will always kind of be secondhand. You can't even carry the mics. It's like, oh, too much. Something to think about.